Shalom, shalom, shalom. My family, my family. It's that time again. It's that time again. My favorite part of the week. Yes, sir. Shalom to my family in the Chizat. Uh-oh, had to calm that down. Man. Shalom to y'all, family. How are y'all doing this day? I'm cold. I'm cold right now. I'm real cold. It's snowing now. Ice storm has stopped. It's snowing now. Ah, boy, Most High ain't playing. Back-to-back winter storms, baby. And those people they just got themselves digging out the snow up north, and they finna get hammered again this weekend. Whew. The Most High don't play. He ain't playing. Just dumping snow on the heathen, man. I love it. I love it. Just keep me safe, y'all. That's all I ask. Yes, sir. Just wait, see how many people come up in here before I begin. Shalom to K. Judah and Sister Na Maria in the Chizat. How y'all doing? Oh, Sister Oracle 007 in his house. How you doing, sister? Man, y'all been busy this week. That's all I gotta say. We got truckers up in Canada, straight up defying the Canadian government right now. They are in solidarity out there, protesting. The heathen are standing up. They know what the business is. Most High got his hand everywhere. Yes, sir. The lies are coming to light. Truth is prevailing in the land. Most High hand is everywhere. Let's go. I love it. I love it. Oh, no, Maria, she took a nap. Oh, she up. She ready. She is ready. Yes, the lesson today is going to be more information on indisputable proof that the original Jews were black. We're going to go into that today. Oh, yes. Slinging more daggers out there for y'all. For sure. But I think we can go ahead and begin the show. Drop that intro, nigga. Wake up, Jacob. Wake up, Jacob. Wake up, Jacob. Hey, wake up, nigga. We behind the veil with Bezale'el. Yeah, we behind the veil with Bezale'el. Reporting news from my father, that's the warning mail. To repent and come back to him before he send that ass to hell. We behind the veil with Bezale'el. Yeah, we behind the veil with Bezale'el. Reporting news from my father, that's the warning mail. To repent and come back to him before he send that ass to hell. Yeah, just look at the destruction. This wouldn't have to happen if we followed his instruction. Hard head and stiff neck, that's how you scrap your people. Blending with the nation, starting to become like the sheep. Both the end times are here, we no longer need to hide, cause the Elohim of Yasharel about to save his bride. Pestilence, plagues, and every manner of creation. He about to send these heathen on a permanent vacation. Wake up, Jacob. Wake up, Jacob. Wake up, Jacob. Hey, wake up, nigga. We behind the veil with Bezale'el. Yeah, we behind the veil with Bezale'el. Reporting news from my father, that's the warning mail. Tripping and come back to him before he sent that ass to hell. We behind the veil with Bezale'el. Yeah, we behind the veil with Bezale'el. Reporting news from my father, that's the warning mail. Tripping and come back to him before he sent that ass to hell.
I see you, bro. I can feel it in the air, close my eyes and let my soul drip. The spirit poured out on the sin in the midst of mistaken comprehend this gift. You could tell I've repented from within by the mist. Flowing from my tear ducts, the spirit draws nearer. Gave the will to Yahweh, only you can stare us. Builders of the body, I'm putting my brick in. Live the word as it's written to reverse before we thank you. See the heart of man only produce imagination. Repent of all my past, since my mind become fake. Serving the most high with prayer and supplication. By his power and strength, building faith like the ancients. Get ready, Israelites, we back. Israelites, get ready, Israelites, we back. Israelites, get ready, Israelites, we back. Israelites, get ready, Israelites, we back. I can tell you where you came from, but only way you led me down the rabbit hole to a nation changing melody. Special traveler, flowing to the milk and honey. The land been at rest while the family been sleeping. Quam Yasharala, you the chosen of a might. Reverence belongs to him, but unto men humility. Satan took the gospel, the father made it filthy. I pulled back the cover, found a lie of the centuries. I ain't make the best, so I ain't sleeping in the company. Even if I did, picture burning for eternity. That's like the spirit with these scripts, call it surgery. Freeing all the lost souls, scared of Christianity. Those lacking knowledge with the Abba's help easily. Doing his will to the best of my ability. Chivalry ain't dead, just the people went to spring. But by the rivers of Babylon, we shall return again. Get ready, Israelites, we back. Israelites, get ready, Israelites, we back. Israelites, get ready, Israelites, we back. Israelites, get ready, Israelites, we back. 12 tribes overshadowed, yeah, we back on the map. We so close to headed home, that I'm already packed. Waiting for Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, to present us with a crown of salvation, that's a fact. Chosen to be the seed, nation claim to be, so it's back to the basics, rock is bold in the street. It's in our DNA, check the ABB. The molecules read a peculiar breed. Stammering lips in a whole nother tongue. Beating on my chest like a dundo drum. Rhythm in the rhyme, wake them up from the slums. Hallelujah, here's the song being sung. Wind blowing where please, bring it change like the creeds. Can't unlock the scrolls cause you ain't got the keys. So hungry for knowledge, you can call it gluttony. The earth getting set back how it's supposed to be. Get ready, Israelites, we back. Israelites, 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 we back.
We are back, yes indeed. Fire track from the Ox Sons of God. We back. We are back, yes sir. Shalom to my family. Welcome again to another edition of Behind the Veil. I am your humble host, Bezale'el Ben Yahudah. This is episode 14. Damn. 14 shows already. Praise ye Yah and the Son Yahushua HaMashiach for allowing me to come before you again this day. Because he didn't have to. He could have let me stay asleep. But he said, I ain't done with you, nigga. Wake your ass up. I'm here again to drop the knowledge on the fam. Because there's a famine of the truth in this world today. And I am come to feed Yah's flock. With the truth, all praise. Before I begin, of course, do a quick little roll call to my family in the chat. Shalom to K. Judah. Shalom to Sister Oracle 007. Shalom to Nia. Shalom to Na Maria. Shalom to Eve. Thank you guys for joining the live stream this day. All praises. I hope you guys had a blessed week. As did I. Week went by fast, man. I was praising y'all, man, because, man, damn, I hate working. Whew. Lord knows I hate the plantation, but he make it go by fast for your boy. To get right back here, to feed my family some truth and knowledge. What we're going to be talking about today, family, is undisputable proof that the original Jews were black, a.k.a. Negro, not to be confused with the Hamites, because a lot of people like to include us together. We are two different people. Just look at them side by side, an African and a Shemite. Two totally different people. They can't grow beards. They can't grow beards, from what I've seen. And they don't grow big old afros either. They got the little tight little nappy curls, you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, there's a difference. There is a difference. So without further ado. Oh, yes, K. Jude. I hear that, bruh. You said you got like almost a month vacation, huh? I bet you've been waiting for that. I wish I can get a month off, man. These heathen don't give no vacation time, really, barely. But that's because I ain't full-time. I choose to work 4 days a week instead of working a five-day slavery schedule. 4 days on, 3 days off. It is what it is. It is what it is. Without further ado, though, let's get into the lesson. Let me share my screen. Yes, sir. Can y'all see that screen right there? If so, give me 1 in the chat so I know I can begin. If y'all can see the screen, hit your boy with a 1 in the chat. Yeah, I feel you on that, K. Judah, bro. Damn. I feel you. And my dad, he don't like taking vacations. I'd be like, well, nigga, what? Nigga, what? Dude, he be having like 200 hours of vacation time. He don't even want to be taking it. I'd be like, man, give them to me. Give those hours to me. Man, they gotta force my dad to go on vacation, boy. It's crazy. He loved to work. 200 hours of vacation. Man, please, boy, I would have been on that. Man, you wouldn't got to tell me to take vacation, boy. I take it willingly. Hell nah. Very small. I'll enlarge it a little bit. Should be good now. Even though it's real big on my screen, but I know everybody got those small little screens called phones. But it's all good. If I can see a little bit better, hopefully I can see a little bit better. Looks good. Looks bigger. Looks bigger on my screen here. I've got the live stream pulled up on my phone. Looks big enough for me. Oh, yeah, it looks big. Looks big to me. Better? All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and do it. Let me pull up my Bible app because they got scriptures in here that I want to read. Yes, sir. So starting off here, says here, according to Deuteronomy 29:1, we're going to go and pull that script up. What does that say? It says here, These are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel. That's right, the children of Israel, not the world, not the world, not the church. The children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. So it says that ancient Israel made a covenant with their God to follow his laws, judgments, statutes, and commandments. It says that the Creator gave the assurance that Israel will become a mighty and righteous nation above all other nations on earth. We can read that in Exodus 19:5 and Deuteronomy 28:13. Exodus 19:5 reads here, now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. You hear that, heathen? We are above you. I didn't say it. Most High said it. Most High said it. So don't hit me with the, oh, you prejudiced, oh, you racist, oh, you a supremacist. Well, then you're going to have to attribute those qualities to the Most High, because he is the one who put us above all nations if we will follow his law, statutes, and commandments. Deuteronomy 28:13 reads as follows, and the Lord shall make thee the head on top and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day, to observe and to do them. All we had to do was follow Yah. All we had to do was hearken to Yah, and we will be blessed. But we're going to find out we didn't do that. We didn't do that as we will find out. It says here, but if they did not honor the covenant, reading on, they would be afflicted with various curses. Israel broke the agreement and has been suffering from these curses ever since. I mean, just look around. Just look at us as a people. We lost. The record will be straight once biblical prophecy and Black history are understood, so that the certain myths can be corrected. Like, for example, that Black people were not cursed and turned black as a result, as is generally taught by the slave masters and other supremacists. That's that Book of Mormon bullshit. Neither are they genetically inferior. We all know we're not. Look at sports. From the offspring of Eve mating with Satan, that's bullshit as well. People are still continuing to espouse that doctrine falsely. Nor the result of a man mating with an ape. I never even heard anybody talking about this one, but whatever. Hosea 4:6 says here, reads, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim. I will also forget thy children. And hasn't he forgotten us? Whew. I mean, if you're following the laws and statutes, he looks out for you. But for the vast majority of our race, our people, ain't he forgotten them? I mean, look at them. They lost. Our men don't know where they going. They turning effeminate, going over to the other nations' women because they don't even want to mess around with their own women anymore. Our women trying to be like Becky, straight hair in the head, wigs, ashamed of their natural nappy hair, blonde wigs, all this makeup, eyebrow, whatever you want to call it, eyelashes, the fake nails, All that makeup, looking like a transgender. Whew. Man, I tell you, we lost. And that is because our ancestors could not follow the Most High, which is why we are in the predicament this day. Man, whew. I can go on and on and on about that. Man, oh man. Says here, the curses played or placed on Israel will help to identify them as the real Hebrew Israelites. Daniel 9 and 11 reads here, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they may not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us in the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Elohim, because we have sinned against him. And we're going to look at these curses here. It says here, here's a small list of the curses placed on the real Israelites. The transatlantic slave trade with the famous Deuteronomy 28:68. Children taken away and given to other people. That happened. Read about that in Deuteronomy 28 and 32. Actually, I'm going to read these scriptures so that way we can see it in context. Be a lot easier. Since I'm already in Deuteronomy 28, we can just go ahead and do. So Deuteronomy 28:68 says here, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt, bondage, again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, our homeland. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, slaves, and no man shall buy you, redeem you. So no Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. Mr. Call that nigga Mr. Potato Head, man. That nigga got a big ass head and small body. Call that nigga Mr. Potato Head. These men can't save us. And they've been trying. All these men have come up just to fail. Because you think white folks are gonna let you raise up your people in their kingdom? Oh no. Can't have another kingdom in another man's kingdom. Nope. Can't happen. Cannot happen. Children taken away, given to other people. Deuteronomy 28 and 32. And that reads, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. You're going to miss your kids. And there shall be no might in thy hand. You can't do nothing about it. They will auction your kids off like an eBay auction. And there ain't nothing you could do about it. Whew. Scattered throughout all nations, Deuteronomy 28 and 25. And that reads, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And that is where we at right now. Got some here in America, out throughout the Caribbean, Central America, South America, Canada, all throughout Europe, Africa, throughout the so-called Middle East, Australia, the islands of the sea, Hawaii, Fiji, all these lands, China, Japan, India, all these places throughout the world, you can find our people. The thing is, they don't know that they are Israelites. This is why I'm on here preaching this out, so that if they do happen upon this podcast, then they can find out who they truly are. This is why Yah has his people. Me, K. Judah, Moshe, everybody, all other people around the world preaching this gospel so that it may reach to all lost brethren across the world, so that they may wake up and find out their true identity, so they do not identify themselves with their captors as we have. Moving on. Called racist names instead of by true identity. And that's in Deuteronomy 28 and 37. And that reads, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. African American, Afro American, black, colored, nigger, Negro, so on and so forth. Called all these names instead of Israelite. Boy, y'all was not playing when he put these curses before them on that day. Lynching and being burned alive by the enemy. Deuteronomy 28 and 22. And that reads, the Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. How many lynchings have we been through? How many lynchings are still going on and not being reported by the mainstream news or being called quote unquote suicides? How can a man hang himself, cut himself up, or whatever they do to him, cut his own dick off, because they do that still, cut his own tongue out and then hang him? I mean, come on, man. Cut his tongue out, whatever. And they say, and they rule it a suicide, these cops. Whew. Evil. High prison population. We can read that in Isaiah 42 and 22. Let me get there. And this reads, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith, restore. How many of our brothers and sisters are locked up in prison over small little charges so that this white supremacist nation can get more free labor? Yet another curse that we are fulfilling, that no other race on the planet can say they are going under. Oh no. Because every racial group will run successful businesses in black neighborhoods. Deuteronomy 28, 43 and 44. And it reads, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. No black banks. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. These Asians, these Arabians, these Indians, Europeans, they come all up in the black neighborhoods, set up shop with their abominable stores, their fast food kill markets, I call them. Your Chinese takeout, which is abominable foods. They don't even eat that food themselves. Indians come in there with the 7-Elevens, gas stations. Arabians open up convenience stores and the like in your neighborhoods. They take all that money and they do not put it back within our community. They send that money back home to their families while they live in the suburbs away from us. They're able to send their kids to good schools, private schools, paid for by our community. And they don't spend a dime back into the community that gives them their money. And that was prophesied on the scriptures that I just read. No other race can say they have that curse upon them. Next one, having no power, always robbed and spoiled. Deuteronomy 28 and 29. And that reads, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Can I even expound upon that? I think the scripture says it all for itself. only community on the planet that is the oppressed. You have all these other nations talking about, oh, we oppressed. White people talking about they oppressed now. Bullshit. Your people run the world. You are not oppressed. Latinos wanna grab on to our plight. We depressed. Oh, we oppressed. We're being discriminated against. Bullshit. All y'all have your own countries. You choose to pack up your bags and come across the border. You have your own country, your own language, your own culture, your own heritage. You know who you are. You choose to come to this country on your own. We don't got no place to go. We came over here on their terms, not ours. We didn't choose to come here. We were taken captive and sent all around the world. So no, you can't be proud. They try to do this black and brown code. They try to put the brown. No. This is our fight only. Go away. Latinos, go away. Hispanics, Native Americans, go away. Y'all got reservations and reparations. Hell, Joe Biden wanted to give the Latinos, what, 450 grand? No such offer was given to the Negro. So how the hell y'all want to grab onto our fight? Fuck off. That's right. I said it. Essay. I said it. Do something about it. You ain't. Next. Having many places of worship on every street corner. And that can be read in Ezekiel. Ezekiel 16, 24, and 25. And that reads, that thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place, and hast made thee an high place in every street. We got churches everywhere, don't we? Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be abhorred, and has opened thy feet to every one that passed by, and multiplied thy whoredoms. We keep running to every other culture except our own. Run every other nation, worship all these other nations and their gods except our own. Shaking of the head. Fearful for life without assurance of life. Deuteronomy 28, 64 through 66. And it reads, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. Even wood and stone. Islam with the stone, wood with Christianity. Boom. The two biggest ones our people are in. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shalt thy sole of thy foot have rest, always working. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. We got to pray before we leave the house because we don't know if we're going to come back. And thou shalt fear day and night and shall have none assurance of thy life. They can shoot us down at any time. But it's the grace of Yah and the Son Yahushua Mashiach that we are not gunned down like our other brothers and sisters out there. It is by their grace that we make it home alive each and every day. But to our heathen brothers and sisters who want to be like these other people, Yah is getting rid of them at an alarming rate. Dropping like flies. Most High is tired of our people. The next one. Young men standing on street corners going wild, and that can be read in Isaiah 51, verse 20, and that reads as follows. Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all streets as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of the Lord, the rebuke of thy God. Our young men are going out there doing crazy shit. Shooting up each other. With nothing to do. That's all we do. Our people got nothing to do. We just hang on the street corner all day. Talking about nothing. It's all we do, man. It's all we do. It says here, teenage gangs running black neighborhoods, many corrupt elected officials and leaders. That be read in Isaiah 3, verse 12. And that reads, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, pastors, politicians, black politicians, and destroy the way of thy paths. Ain't we saying that today? We saying that. You know, black politicians there to help us. They're there to further whitey's addition or agenda. They're not there to help their people. They could care less about their people. They want to impress Zaddy, white Zaddy. Jucking and jiving for the white man. That's what they are there for. To be given some type of hope to us. That, hey, at least we got one of them in there. That's all they give it to us. It's all an illusion. That black person got no power whatsoever. Next one, not being able to stand against their enemies. And that can be read here in 2 books. We're going to go to the first one, Leviticus, chapter 26, verses 37 and 38. And that reads, and they shall fall one upon another, as it were before sword, when none pursueth, and ye shall have no power to stand before your enemies. We ain't got no power. What we doing out there? Protesting? That ain't doing shit. We've been protesting for decades. What has that gotten us? Nowhere. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. No justice, no peace. Then white folks ain't giving a shit. Y'all let them protest. Let them protest. That ain't gonna do shit. Tearing up your own neighborhoods, rioting. Well, what is that doing for you, black folk? What is that doing? Nothing. Verse 38 reads, and ye shall perish among the heathen. Aren't we perishing? In the land of your enemies shall eat you up. We dying everywhere, man. Police shooting us up. We shooting each other up. Dying. Whether it's by disease or whatever else that Yah cooks up for us. We are dying. Also can be read in Deuteronomy 28, verse 25. And that reads, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Aren't we scared of our enemies? We talk hard shit when our people. But when other nations come up, yes, sir, no, sir. That's thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. Cop come on the scene, they running. And shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. I read that already. We've been scattered everywhere. We got no power towards the white folk, but we got all the power towards our own people. We can get up in our people faces and speak all that hard shit and want to shoot each other down. But when Whitey come in neighborhood, nothing. No, he could straight up call them a nigga to their face. They won't do nothing. Nothing. And that is part of the curses. A sick and disease-stricken people. Oh, yes. Deuteronomy 28, 59 through 61. And that reads, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful. Oh, hasn't he? Diabetes, high cholesterol, heart attacks, heart disease, obesity. That's the biggest one in our group, obesity. We big and fat as a nation. Everywhere you go, we fat, bruh. We are fat. It is a small, you are a minority if you are in shape. Our people love to eat. Love to eat. In the plagues of thy seed, amongst the children, yeah. Even great plagues, and of long continuance. Keep going on and on. And sore sicknesses. I just named a few. And of long continuance. All your life you sick. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in this book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee, HIV, until thou be destroyed. And we still being destroyed. To this day, our people don't want to be healthy. We can't be healthy. Popeye's chicken all day, every day. I watch. Like when I'm in the supermarket and I see my people, I see what they get. No fruits, no veggies, nothing healthy. Drinking soda all day, every day, even though your body ain't made of soda, it's made of water. We scared to drink water. I drink water every day. I don't even know the last time I drank soda or even juice. Because even in juice got way too much sugar in it. I just drink water. Alkaline water. That's all I drink. Because I want to be healthy. I don't want to be like these people or people that I see roundabout, man. I want to be an example. I want to be a righteous example of how it should be. That's how Yah has gotten me, to be an example amongst his people, my people, so that they know what they should be doing. But a lot of them don't care about that, man. They don't care. The next one, suffering from mental illness because of what is seen. Deuteronomy 28 and 34. Deuteronomy 28 and 34. And that reads, the Lord shall smite thee with madness. We got a lot of mental illness in our society. A lot of it. Most of it's PTSD. Post-traumatic slave disorder, I call it. We still got a lot of that. And blindness and astonishment of heart, fear. We all living in fear, man, as a people. Deuteronomy 28 and 34 reads, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. I mean, look at the stuff that we get to see every day, man. Our kids getting gunned down. Our kids gunning each other down. That'll make anybody go insane. Knowing that you got no power to change any of it. It's just something now. Now we just look at it and we just like, it's normal now. It has been happening for so long. We consider it normal. We consider it normal. How sick have we become? Man. Reading on more. Says here, as a result of not having the ability to recognize or understand these curses, the majority of biblical scholars, white people, including the black population, were misled into believing that all of their misfortunes were as a result of being an inferior race. White people, definitely white people, calling us savages, yet they the ones that eat raw meat. Savage. Hey, salute Moshe Ben. Glad to have you in here, buddy. Glad to have you in here. But yeah, this deliberate, calculated lie caused black people to become ashamed of their history and ancestry, facts, which resulted in them cutting off their direct link to their Elohim. These curses were unleashed only on the children of Israel, so-called black folk. No Hispanics, no Native Americans. Get away with that bullshit, camps. Since they were the only nation, read that again, only nation that had received the laws. This is our covenant. We're the only ones who are given the oracles. This is our covenant. These heathen want to write themselves in our covenant. No. The only people in the covenant is Yah and his people, the children of Israel. No white folk, no African, no Hispanic, no Native American, no European, no Asian, no West Indian, no East Indian, no Arabian, no Hawaiian or Pacific Islander. You are not in the covenant. You will not inherit any blessings in the covenant. But if you do cleave and want to serve our Yah, our Elohim, you must abide by the same commandments that we have to abide by. But you don't get the same blessings we get. You can be blessed through us by Yah, by cleaving to his people, but you will not inherit any of the kingdom. You will not be in the kingdom. Only as a handmaiden, handservant, you will not partake in any of the glory that the children of Israel will partake in. And that's not me being supremacist. That's not me being racist or prejudiced. That is scriptural fact. It's in the Bible that you guys supposedly read, right? But you guys cannot understand it. It is in the Bible. We are the head, you are the tail. We are going to be above you. Means we are going to have power over you. Just like you have power over us, you guys have your chance to rule. And that is going to come to an end. What you mad for? What you mad for? Y'all only allowed you to be on top of us to beat us down as a lesson. You were never going to be lead forever. Who told you this? There ain't nothing wrong with being the handmaid, hand servant. We've been doing it for centuries. We've been doing it for centuries. Except y'all beat us and all that, but we ain't gonna do that to y'all in the kingdom. We ain't gonna do that to y'all. We'll treat you like family and whatnot. But too many people with pride, too many of y'all Gentiles, other nations, got too much pride. Y'all don't want to bend the knee, but you're gonna bend the knee, whether you like it or not. Moving on. Since they were the only nation that had received the laws, judgments, and commandments from Yah, it was with Israel's forefathers that the covenant was made. Leviticus 26:14-26 outlines the curses that will be heaped upon Israel because of disobedience. We went through some of that, a lot of it, in Deuteronomy 28. Well, I was just reading. Leviticus 26:14-15 reads here, but if ye will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes, as we do, or if you shall abhor my judgments, as we do, so that ye will not do all of my commandments, we don't, but that ye break my covenant, and we still breaking it, I also will do this unto you. Here it comes. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning ague that shall consume the eyes, and cause sorrow of heart, and ye shall sow your seed in vain. Whatever you build, they're going to take it. For your enemies shall eat it. And I will set my face against you, using the enemies, the nations, our adversaries, as a whipping stick. And ye shall be slain before your enemies, getting killed down, gunned down. They that hate you shall reign over you. And don't they reign over us. And ye shall flee when none pursueth you. You're going to be scared when nobody even coming. Looking over your shoulder at every time. Thinking that you may be gunned down at any time. Sad, man. Sad. Sad. It says here, black people have been slaughtered by their enemies for centuries. An estimate reveals that over 100 million black men, women, and children perished during the Middle Passage on their way to the Western Hemisphere. They died on them boats, man. So many dead and dying blacks were thrown overboard, just treated like cattle. That sharks learned to pursue the slave ships for a regular free meal. Damn. The survivors who arrived in the Americas had to avoid being burnt alive, lynched, tortured, murdered, mutilated, and dehumanized, as these activities continue long after slavery was supposedly over. And that's true. 1,300 slaves were owned by 30% of America's founding fathers. These are your presidents, right? They came to be presidents. All right, shalom, Sister Bees. Welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing well. 11 of 16 United States presidents owned slaves. No surprise. As pointed out in the scriptures, those which hate you shall rule over you, was clearly observed in those who formed the government, as they unleashed their intense hatred towards the quote-unquote Negro. Even the Declaration of Independence did not address the slave trade, slavery, or the plantation system, showing that the insurance, which stated all men are created equal, never applied to the slaves. Still don't to this day. Leviticus 26:36 reads, and upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness in their hearts in the lands of their enemies. Fear, and the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall when none pursue it. Verse 37, and they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword, when none pursueth. And ye shall have no power to stand before your enemies. Black people had no power to stand up against their enemies, whether they were the African, the Arab, the European slave catchers, or the slave masters in the Americas. The Bible documents that Israel was defeated by the Egyptians, Assyrians, Medo-Persians, Babylonians, Greeks, and Romans. Those were our other slaveries that we were in. Those are our other slaveries. This is another characteristic of the original Hebrew Israelite. Here's a depiction of the Jews during the Babylonian period, showing the African racial origins, who many believe originated out of Europe, out of Egypt, and were followers of the Akhenaton religion. The original inhabitants of Israel, called Finku by the original black owners, were black Canaanites and black Egyptians. Had nothing to do with us. Those represent the blacks of southern Egypt and Sudan, Nubia, Kush, who look racially identical to Israel's ancient black populations. Black people became public enemy number one in the eyes of every hate group, which included terrorist groups like the Ku Klux Klan, the skinheads, the neo-Nazis. The lynching of black Americans increased dramatically after the establishment of the KKK in 1867. This was an underground terrorist organization whose main goal was to fight against the civil rights movement that gave freedom to the slaves, while maintaining white supremacy, which seemed to be under threat following their defeat in the Civil War. The Klan referred to the Jews as the offspring of Satan. Projection much. Blacks and other racial minorities as an inferior group, and white Anglo-Saxons as the true Israelites. Ha! Ha 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 ha. No. Clearly, the biblical passages could not be referring to the white Jews, because they were able to stand up and crush their enemies through every military engagement encountered since 1948, and were also successful in maintaining possession of Palestinian land for over 50 years. The so-called Jews were also successful at tracking down and executing Nazi war criminals that supposedly had a role in their Holocaust, quote unquote. I'll put a quote on that. On the other hand, black Jews, in spite of everything, still have no power to stand up with any success against the racist police force, who do not hesitate to shoot, kill, and frame innocent black people, who continue to run from their enemies, even when nothing or no one is pursuing them. Whew. Leviticus 26:38, and ye shall perish among the heathen, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up. The ancient homeland of Israel was given to the Hebrew Israelites by their Elohim, who forewarned them concerning their exile if they broke the covenant made with him. The Israelites did not keep that promise, and as a result were held captive, forced out of their ancestral homeland, and forced to live in the lands of their enemies, who then forced them to live under oppressive conditions. Those who brought the slaves, chained and shackled as human cargo into the new lands, were obviously the enemies of the oppressed people, as detailed in the scriptures. This is another trait that distinguishes Israel from the other nations. If they shall confess their sins and iniquity of their fathers with their trespass, which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and I have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their sins, then I will remember my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. Yet that did not happen whatsoever. Excuse me, folks. Be right back. Be right back. All right, sorry about that. All right, so here it says, since black people suffer from an identity crisis, according to Isaiah 1:3, they're not aware of, 1, their true identity as Israelites, 2, the special relationship they share with Elohim, or 3, the sins they have committed against their Elohim. Given that the Israelites do not understand why so much misfortune is befalling them, it is difficult for them to grasp the severity of the punishments unleashed against them. And that's because they hide our history. If they would tell us true Black history, then we would know what we've done wrong and how we can redeem ourselves. But they don't. They continue to tell us, you're slaves, slaves, slaves. And they continue to say we're not Israelites, that we're cursed, that this is, God hates us or whatever. This is why we're still in the predicament we're in, because number one, we don't want to look and learn about it, even though people like us go out there and try to tell them. They don't understand and listen. But hey, that's on them. Leviticus 26:44 reads, and yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away. Neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them, for I am Yah, their Elohim. 45, but I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their Elohim. I am Yah. See, even though he's beating us down, he still cares about us. He won't do away with everybody. He'll do away with a good portion of them, but he ain't gonna do away with everybody. He still loves us. He still loves us. All he wants us to do is come back to the covenant, come back to following the laws and statutes. That's all he wants us to do. Simple stuff. But our people are stiff-necked. Going on to read, these verses not only show that Elohim did not cast away Israel, but indicate that Israel must be on earth physically in order for the covenant that was made to their ancestors be fulfilled. This may be one of the reasons that Black people have survived centuries of chattel slavery, lynching, and the worst treatment ever hurled at any race. We still here. All the shit that they put us through, we still here. I know they astonished. I know they astonished. Say, hey, salute Monster Moshe in the building. This Israelite in the image right here was hung and then burnt. Look at that, no legs left. No legs. Severely burnt. And look, all the heathen just standing around them. God made a promise that Israel would undergo tremendous suffering in the land of their enemies, but he was not going to completely destroy them. Note carefully that the Bible keeps citing the land of Israel's enemies as a place where Israel will be residing. Deuteronomy 28:37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. A proverb and a byword are labels or nicknames or of general rebuke that includes a characterization in the form of taunting insults and offensive titles. These include terms like nigger, Negro, coon, blackie, spade, monkey, African American, blacks, colored, West Indian, Caribbean, Barbadian, Haitian, Jamaican, etc. All of which act as substitutes to conceal the true identity of Israel. Facts. Elohim said, Israel will become an object of scorn and disdain among every nation wherever they go. Additionally, the enactment of harsh laws in the Supreme Court helped to perpetuate the oppression of Black people and reinforce theories pertaining to Black inferiority. Historians generally reported the grouping of the Black slave as a subhuman species with an insatiable sexual appetite who lacked intelligence, character, and feelings. And boy, do we have an insatiable sexual appetite. Just look back in the Old Testament. That's all we did. Going after these other nations, women, and everything. That's all we did. The wicked among us, they do lack intelligence, character, and feelings. Yah says we're destroyed for lack of knowledge. And the crazy part is, in the Old Testament, they knew the laws. We didn't, like here, we don't know the laws. You know, we grew up in this land and whatnot. We weren't given the laws in the land like they were given. They knew the laws and still did bad. That's the crazy part about it. Reading on, the distinguished Islamic historian Ibn Khaldun wrote, the Negro nations are as a rule submissive to slavery because they have attributes that are quite similar to dumb animals. See how they talk about us? Black slaves as a rule were castrated by Islamic traders based on the assumption that they had an ungovernable sexual appetite. Hell, we can read about eunuchs in the Bible. Wasn't Daniel a eunuch? Wasn't Abednego, Meshach, and the other one? Weren't they eunuchs too? See more evidence here. Castrations. The name Africa does not represent any country, race, nationality, tribe, or even a language, but only acts as a substitute for the second largest landmass in the world, a continent with 53 countries, which incorporates diverse people, languages, and cultures. There is not a country on earth named Africa. Therefore, no group of people should really be referred to as Africans. Facts. When referring to national origins, they call us two countries, African and American. How can we be two? How can we be two countries? The ancient Egyptians, Nubians, Ethiopians, Hebrews, and other nationalities that are indigenous to this continent never referred to a continent called Africa because that label is Latin or Roman in origin. Facts. Africa came from what? Leo Africanus? He named it. That heathen. Because of this labeling, Africa has become synonymous with black-skinned people, since the people who originated from that continent are black, and the majority of black people all over the world have some kind of ancestral ties to that continent. Deuteronomy 28:15 reads, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and the statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field." During chattel slavery, the living conditions in the fields and plantations were more suited for animals, but slaves had to live under these extremely dehumanizing conditions. According to Leonard P. Curry, author of The Free Black in Urban America, more than a third of the black population in cities like Boston lived in blind alleys, cellars, and lofts. Their poor, unsanitary living conditions caused widespread health problems. We read about those plagues that Yah was going to send upon us, and shorten their lifespans. Black Americans make up about 40% of the homeless population, although they only represent 12% of the U.S. population. Deuteronomy 28:19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. 20. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. Every attempt by the black population living in the Caribbean, the Americas, or the United Kingdom to improve their living conditions by means of the political, educational, and economic system has failed. That's facts. All these people come up to try to save us, and nope, nothing. Dead in the water. But at the same time, other racial groups have been successful in leading their people to an acceptable standard of living using the same systems. Surprise, surprise. It is interesting to note that Black Americans have been in the United States longer than most of the other ethnic groups, but have still fallen behind every group at every level of society. You can't tell me any other nation. You can't tell me any other nation is going through that. None. The Jews, on the other hand, who proclaim to have descended from Israel, are successful at about everything they set out to accomplish. For example, one of their goals was to own the land of Palestine, which they did successfully. They were also able to successfully defend themselves against their enemies. This clearly shows that the white Jews are not being referred to in this verse, because according to Elohim's word, Israel will be cursed at everything they set out to do. Facts, facts, facts. That should drop the mic right there. How can they be the people when they're successful? They're the richest people in the world. How can they be the people? This pronouncement can only be referring to ancient Israel and their descendants, who are called by the bywords Negroes, niggers, colored, Afro-Caribbean, African Americans, and a myriad of other labels. Deuteronomy 28:22. Yah shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. One of the worst episodes in the slavery's life, or the slave's life, was during the dreaded Middle Passage journey from West Africa to the Americas, where the conditions on the slave ships were horrifying, with between 200 and 400 captives crammed into the bottom of the ships. On arriving, public burnings, or as they call them, Negro barbecues, were carried out, where white mobs set out to burn the blacks alive or burn their dead bodies after a lynching. This strengthened the belief that blacks were less than human or on the same level as wild beasts. Yet it was a civilized white man who was behaving more like the barbaric animal. Facts. Even adapting the lynching, mutilation, and burning of black people into an entertainment and spectator sport. Look at that. Got the little heathen kids out there too, just looking at it. I mean, look at this. Look at this. All these people showing up for this, smiling for postcards. Woo! And these white folks talking about, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I'm not gonna get judged for what they did. It wasn't me. You hold the same hatred in your heart, just like your ancestors, homie. Shut the fuck up. Reading on. Newspaper carried headlines like "Colored Man Roasted Alive." Wow. While explaining in graphic detail the slow, systematic, agonizing death of the helpless victim. Crowds, including women and children, traveled for miles to witness this blood sport. Whew. With school administrators delaying classes to allow their students to return from viewing these horrendous acts of brutality. They stopped classes. They stopped classes so they can go witness this. How wicked can you be? Whew. Whew. Reading on. Here's an image of Will Brown, already showing that right there, who was accused of and arrested for allegedly raping a white woman in 1919. I guarantee you he didn't do it. He was seized by a white mob that beat him unconscious, then emptied over 1,000 bullets into his body before burning it. Whew. Whew, boy, judgment. Judgment can't come. Whew. This is why I have no judgment on these. This is why I have no feelings when I see these white people dying in these storms, and I see all their houses getting ripped up apart, and I see them crying. I feel nothing. I'm heartless. I feel nothing. I clap when it says how many heathen died. I clap. Call me hateful. Call me whatever. I don't care. I feel absolutely nothing when all these floods come out in Brazil. And I found out, hey, 21 of them died. I felt nothing. I clapped. Yes. When these storms and these volcanoes destroy whole towns and islands, I clap. I praise Yah. Because this is the shit that they have done to us. They rejoiced in our pain. Now I get to rejoice in yours. All of y'all dying by the COVID. All y'all dying by the COVID. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Yes. Getting myocarditis because you got the jab. Blood clots in your lungs because you got the jab. Praise Yah. No feeling for you, heathen. I only feel for my people. I feel nothing for you. Zero. Call me hateful. I don't care. Feel nothing when you die. Nothing. Nothing. Moving on. In a book called Two Nations, Black and White, Separate, Hostile, Unequal, by Professor Andrew Hacker, he writes, most whites will protest that they bear neither responsibility nor blame for the conditions blacks face. Neither they nor their forebears ever owned slaves, nor can they see themselves as having held anyone back or down. Today, the younger generations of whites resent being held morally or financially responsible for the racial sins of their ancestors, even though as whites, they still enjoy the inherited advantages and privileges of slavery. White boy wrote this. Ah, they resent it, but yet they get to still enjoy the advantages. Yes, Moshe. Yes, they do. When I learned that, I'm like, wow, Yah is good. Yah is good. Heck, I didn't even know they got these subtropical storms over there in or the tropical cyclones. They call them cyclones. We call them hurricanes on our side. They got them that come through between Africa and India. They got them forming out there. They got them forming out there in the Pacific too. Yah has all these things, all these places where we went slave or where we were held captive, and it destroys them. It hits India. They go through Asia. All these places where we've been held captive. Yah has storms popping everywhere. Everywhere. These nations are going through it. All praises. Moving on, Isaiah 14:21 reads, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Zechariah 11:5, whose possessors shall slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Can we not say this is us? The white people doing this to us? Revelation 13:10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Oh, yes. Can't wait for this day. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. They don't like that scripture. They don't like that scripture. Pastor don't read this scripture to his congregation, do he? Oh, no. Deuteronomy 32:43. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants and will render vengeance to his adversaries. Oh, no. Ain't that happening right now? Ain't that happening right now? Ezekiel 35:2, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. And say unto it, thus saith the Lord God, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Whew. Love those scriptures. Love it. The lynching of black people was a brutal combination of racism and sadism, which white people utilized to terrorize blacks so as to safeguard their delusion of white supremacy. The accepted method used for lynching was either by hanging, shooting, or both, although other gruesome methods of physical torture were sometimes employed, like burning at the stake, castration, maiming, and dismemberment. From 1880 to 1930, more than 3,500 blacks were lynched or executed, but no one has ever been convicted of any of these horrendous crimes. Their white murderers were allowed to roam free without any form of punishment, although it was very unlikely that a white person would have received the death penalty for killing a black person. They held themselves not guilty. Black Israel's destruction and ruin by the weapons of their enemies is mentioned in verse 22. Deuteronomy 28:63, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Leviticus 26:33, and I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. Deuteronomy 20:25, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Elohim declared that Israel will be forcibly removed from their ancestral homeland and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth as captives in these foreign lands, where they will dwell in the midst of the population or the people from all ethnicities, but not as a part of an indigenous population. This pronouncement could not be referred to the modern white Jews, since they have been able to defeat their enemies in every military battle since 1948, winning the 1948 through 49 and 1956 wars. Also, the 1967 preemptive Six-Day War against the combined military forces of Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, and Syria, not to mention the 1973 Yom Kippur War. They successfully invaded Lebanon, seized in Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, the West Bank, Sinai, and in more territory from their enemies. This clearly does not portray the modern white Jews as being smitten before their enemies. Facts, facts, and more facts. But the scriptures clearly state that Israel will be smitten before its enemies, emphasizing that true Israel will not be able to stand up against its enemies in the way that these modern Jews were able to do. This is another characteristic of the Israelites. The latter section of verse 25 declares that Israel shall be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. To be removed means to be moved by force. The Israelites were forcibly removed, stolen, and kidnapped from the west coast of Africa, where they were dwelling, after being driven out of their homeland, Jerusalem, around 70 AD by the Romans and transported to Europe, the Americas, and the West Indies. In other words, the majority of Israelites did not immigrate voluntarily to the various kingdoms of the earth in the same way that other immigrants have done. Other ethnic groups, including the so-called Jews, have migrated to the Western Hemisphere between the 17th and 20th centuries of their own free will, and were not forcibly abducted, chained together, and scattered like wild animals. Deuteronomy 28:28, the Lord shall smite thee with madness, blindness, and astonishment of heart. A study found that black population had an admission rate to mental hospitals 7 times higher than their white counterparts, or about 28 out of every 10 or 100,000, as compared to only 4 out of every 100,000 for white people. It is also a form of madness for black people to imitate their oppressors. Yet they strongly desire not only to dress like them, facts, but to look like them, from straightening the hair or using fake hair that resembles that of their enemy, down to bleaching their skin, Sammy Sosa, in order to be accepted in the dominant society, but still without any significant success. Look at your black celebrities out there. Look at your Jay-Z's and your Beyoncé's, your LeBron James. Dressed like them, all that shit. They still slaves. LeBron, 30-some years old. He can't go. He still got to play basketball because they telling him to still play. This whole retiring bullshit, they tell you when to retire. They'll tell you when they're done with you. You don't retire on your own free will. They tell you when they're done with you. Just like, look at these singers out there. All these old ass singers in their 60s and 70s and 80s, still going out and touring. Satan ain't done with you until he uses up every bone in your body, until he throws you out like old toilet paper. After he done wiping his ass with you, that's when he throw you out. All that, doing all that. And they still on the bottom. Coons! Black people remain in a deep state of spiritual blindness and are not conscious of the path that leads to their origin and creator. So they embrace the false religions, doctrines, and culture of their slave master, totally forgetting that it was under the authority of this established religion that they were enslaved in the first place. They are astonished at this state of madness and wonder why they are the most hated people on the face of the earth and the target of such extreme racism. Just read the book. It'll tell you. Deuteronomy 28:29. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. And no man shall save thee. This verse states that Israel will be searching around as if in a blind stupor, looking for a solution to help them escape from their predicament. Yep. Groping up the Joe Biden They groped up to Obama, and what happened to that? Thrown under the bus. This can be observed in the numerous groups within the Black communities that claim to be helping Black people to improve their situation, even though each group has a different ideology. Egyptology, that's one, and a set of doctrines, Islam. They are still incapable of arriving at a single united workable solution because it's not intended to bring us together. It's intended to keep us apart. Additionally, in virtually every house in the Black community, a Bible can be found because it formed a major part of their background. Yet, with all this available light, Black people are still groping around in the darkness without realizing that their history in the Western Hemisphere, had been foretold long before their arrival. Henry Berry, a United States senator, once told the Virginia House of Delegates in 1832, "We have, as far as possible, closed every avenue by which the light may enter the slave's mind. If we could extinguish the capacity to see the light, our work would be complete." Whew. That's how the heathen talk about you. You got white friends and you got white girlfriends and whatnot. This is how their ancestors talk about you. And you really want to be with these people? Whew. They would then be on the level with the beast of the field. Wow. Black people as an ethnic group have never prospered in America and will never prosper because they were not allowed to compete fairly at the same levels with whites. Grants of wealth were given to the Europeans, Asians, and Hispanic immigrants. But I thought that the Mexicans were Issachar, Puerto Ricans Ephraim. I thought the Hispanics were 12 tribe, part of 12 tribe. But they're not part of 12 tribe. No. But they're not part of 12 tribe because grants of wealth were given to them. But if they were 12 tribes, then they wouldn't be getting shit. Oh, that was mean that they're not part of the 12 tribes. But will that stop the camps? No, it won't. By the government, but withheld from the Blacks. No surprise. Thus leaving them ill-equipped to compete with the more privileged groups. No other racial or ethnic group has ever been faced with such methodical, fucking hate this language, resistance to its economic independence and right to earn a living. Living in one of the wealthiest countries on earth has not therefore translated into prosperity for Blacks, as is noticed among the other ethnic groups, like the white Jews, for example, who are the major owners of the movie industries, television stations, print media, national and international banks, for example. In fact, an article from the Chicago Sun-Times of May 14th, 2000 declares, when it comes to business and investment opportunity outside the United States, there are few places more popular than Israel. More venture capital money is being spent in Israel than in any other nation except the United States. There also are more startup companies being formed in Israel than any nation other than the United States. About one homegrown technology company is started every 3 days. But I thought the Israelites wouldn't be able to do nothing. What? What? They have all this wealth, but I thought the Israelites of the book were not supposed to get nothing and be cursed everywhere they go. But they yet another stake in the heart of the white Jew. Reading on, Deuteronomy 28:29 mentions that no man shall save Israel, a fact proven through history, where several distinguished greats like Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Frederick Douglass, and Nat Turner have tried their best to save its people from total ruin. But all these highly respectable individuals with their education and enlightenment have not been able to protect Blacks from the horrors they constantly have to endure. Why is that? Because you are in white man's kingdom. You think they're going to allow you to rise up and unite in their kingdom? Ha 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 ha, no. No. Not allowed. Deuteronomy 28:30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Once again, scripture is describing the predicament of black people in the West, which declares that whatever they owned would be taken from them and given to their enemies. This was evident during the Middle Passage, where on arrival, the slave owners took the captives' wives at will and used them as their own sexual objects. One slave trader named J.A. Stedman provided some details about the strategy slave masters and traders used to rape black women. If a Negro and his wife have ever too great an attachment for each other, the woman, if handsome, must yield to the loathsome embraces of an adulterous and licentious manager, or see her husband cut into pieces for endeavoring to prevent. Wow. Wow. So you either get raped. That's right. I'm saying it, YouTube. Do it. Do what you want. I don't care. You either get raped or you watch your husband get cut into pieces. Wow. Wow. And we're the savages. For centuries, the institution of slavery as a lucrative business became the economic backbone of colonial America. Nearly all of America's great cities, including the mansions which were occupied by the slave masters, were built through the blood, sweat, and tears of the black Hebrew Israelites, who were forced to live in rundown shacks. Even after planting the vineyards and other crops, they were not permitted to enjoy any of the harvest. Prophesied. To this day, black Hebrew Israelites have never been compensated for providing all the free labor and service in building America or helping to make it a super rich nation. Absolutely zero. Ice Cube was trying, wasn't he? Trying to give us money, trying to get us money and shit. That what happened to that? Nothing happened. Even though Ice Cube is he bought and paid for anyway. Moving on. Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall fail, and look, and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Joel 3:3-6 reads, and they have cast lots for my people, and given a boy for harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. The slave trade involved a triangular voyage with slave ships sailing from Bristol or Liverpool to West Africa, loaded with brandy, cloth beads, muskets, and iron bars, which were to be traded in exchange for slaves. The Middle Passage also saw the transportation of slaves to the West Indies, where they were exchanged for spices, rum, molasses, and sugar. Damn, that's all we worth, huh? The families of black Hebrew Israelites were destroyed during the long dreaded period of the transatlantic slave trade. Damn, look at this shit. Unattended, look at this picture. Unattended children will be sold into slavery. Whew. Damn. In many instances, the children of the black Hebrews were captured when separated from their parents, never to be seen again. Entire families were seized, and parents watched helplessly as their children were being sold daily to various slave masters and different plantations. You had no chance to even be with your kids. As soon as it happened and they were old enough, boom, see you later. Sold. Imagine the feeling that gives you, man, as a human being. Witnessing that. You know, you just had a kid. The mom don't even get a chance to attach to the kid. She got to learn not to attach to the kid because she knows it's going to be sold off into slavery. Whew. Damn. See, it's good to know about this type of shit, man. A lot of our own people don't even want to know about this history because it's too uncomfortable. Fuck your uncomfortability. This is your history. This is your damn history. Who cares if it's uncomfortable? I don't give a fuck if white people don't like hearing it. Damn it, this is y'all history too. This is what y'all did to us. I don't give a fuck. How else you gonna learn about, be able to cooperate and to move differently than knowing about your own history? To know why we are in this predicament. All these people got all these Bibles out there, but nobody reading it. Man, oh man. Reading on. Parents were also separated from their children as child trafficking evolved into a profitable business for some traders. Black child slaves were generally presented as gifts to a favorite child, grandchild, or godchild as a new play toy. Damn! Here you go, honey. For your first birthday. Here's a slave. Whew! Wow. Wow, wow, wow. A new play toy. God damn. Even in modern times, the children of Black Hebrew Israelites continue to be taken away from their parents who lost their parental rights and placed in foster care and child welfare services. Yep, that fucking satanic corporation right there. Government agencies removed these children from their homes and made it very difficult for their parents to get them back, even after they did what was required of the state to regain custody. But it is very easy for Europeans and other racial groups to adopt them. Ain't that a bitch? They make it hard for us to adopt kids. But these motherfucking white people, they'll no background check, no nothing. These people could be pedophiles and just want black kids so they can mess with them. They don't even look in their history. They just say, here you go. Woo, but y'all got that coming back on y'all, though. Europeans and Canadians have been adopting black children and sending them overseas in numbers after they are taken away from their natural parents. Note that it happens only to black children, not Hispanics, Asians, whites, or Indians. Sorry, Hispanics. Still not our people, because of the judgment handed down on the black people as prophesied in the Bible. Deuteronomy 28:34. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. For almost 4 centuries, the historical experience of black people has been molded by the turbulent periods of slavery, dehumanization, segregation, discrimination, racism, and even the pursuit of civil rights. As a result of seeing so much racism, hatred, and death, many black Israelites began to act insane. Specialists like Dr. Naeem Akbar refers to this mass syndrome among black Israelites as psychological slavery, suggesting that the burdens they carry stems from the psychological damage inflicted on them during the institution of slavery, which is causing them to behave as though they are under the control of chattel slavery. Boom! That explains the coonery, the chucking and jiving. Maybe that explains why I'm scared of dogs, because those same dogs were used as instruments of terror upon the black people during the protesting. A lot of people that I know, black people, scared of dogs. It's DNA, man. That shit gets passed through the DNA, that fear. We scared of water. Why are we scared of water? Hello? Jumping off of slave ships, drowning in the water, getting eaten by sharks in the water. That's psychological through the DNA. That's why we don't swim. Hello? Boom. Boom, boom, boom. That's why you don't see a lot of swimmers. We don't swim. We go to the pool. We hang out by the pool. We don't go in the water. We hang out by the pool, though, and chill and relax. But we never go in the water. That explains why. 28:36, Deuteronomy. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. During the Atlantic slave trade, African slave traders raided the Hebrew villages and captured the inhabitants and sold them to the European slave traders. The myths of European slave raiders going into the African jungles to hunt down and capture the natives are in reality a total distortion of the truth, because little force was used to get the slaves because they were being captured and sold by their black neighbors. In fact, the majority of the African slaves transported across the Atlantic Ocean were captured and sold by black African chiefs and merchants, as they began to realize that it was more profitable to sell their enemies than to imprison or kill them. So the weaker tribes were often conquered and sold into slavery. There were 3 equally guilty partners in crime running the transatlantic slave trade: the African chiefs, the Muslim Arabs, and the European Christians. But I thought Christianity, we serve Jesus. Oh my God, we're so holy and righteous. Ain't that funny? The Arabs, Africans, and Christians. We're in Christianity, we're in Islam, and we're into this Kemetic bullshit. This whole African ancestry bullshit. Look at that fucking shit.
The three parties that were guilty of selling us are the three religions that we are most in. Damn. What a revelation. All praise Yah. Woo, man. Thank you, Yah, for this knowledge. However, while the slave trade and slavery were vigorously criticized in Britain and America, no comparable criticism was evident in the Muslim Middle East or amongst the African tribes that sold the Israelites into slavery. Black Hebrews are presently affiliated to practically every religion in existence today, such as Buddhism, Islam, Taoism, Voodoo, especially Voodoo, Haiti. Y'all need to get out that shit. All denominations of Christianity, yep, and Judaism. Though being a Jew is not the same as being a Hebrew Israelite. Again, this prophecy does not fit the modern Jews. Deuteronomy 28:41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. The Bible explains that the ancient Israelites were held captive in Egypt, Assyria, and Babylon, and later their descendants were abducted and brought as slaves to all corners of the globe. If this was not the way in which the white Jews and other ethnic racial groups came to the Western Hemisphere, they came of their own free will. Another dagger. 28:43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. This verse explains that other ethnic groups that settled alongside the children of Israel will climb high up the social ladder and economic ladder, while the Hebrews will remain in a lowly state. Historically, the United States has kept in place a hierarchical class structure that puts European whites, Asians, Hispanics, and Indians way above blacks. But I thought Hispanics were part of the people. I thought Indians were part of the people. No. Moreover, these groups have not been maltreated by the dominant white society or government in the same way that generations of black Hebrews were ill-treated. Furthermore, the ancestors of black Israelites were in America before the ancestors of today's Jews, Italians, Germans, French, Japanese, Chinese, and Hispanics. Yet all these ethnic groups were elevated to a much higher status than blacks, who have been kept at the lowest position or status. And it's kind of funny because the white people, they are like the kings. And then you have the taskmasters, which are the other ones, which are like your Asians, your Hispanics, and your Chinese, and your Native Americans. Those are like your taskmasters above us. They put them in the community right there near us and whatnot. While you got your white kings who oversee all the rest of it. And white people say they're oppressed now. Hilarious. 28:44. He, the stranger, shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Black Americans are content to waste a huge percentage of their yearly income on businesses in the white communities, facts, with a tiny proportion going to non-black businesses. They take their money to the stranger who creates jobs for his own people, while blacks remain at the bottom of the economic ladder. But it's seen hateful. It is seen hateful, though, being black, and you want to have an only black business. They call you racist, even though we don't have the power to be racist. And they call you prejudiced and hateful and all kind of words. But yet, the Chinese can open up a Chinese takeout, a restaurant or whatever, and they can employ their own people, their own family, and nobody bats an eye. Indians with their 7-Elevens hire their own people, their own family, and nobody bats an eye. White people can only hire white people, and nobody bats an eye. Same thing with the Arabians and other ethnic groups. They can hire their own people, but nobody say nothing. As soon as a black person say, hey, black only, bullshit. Bullshit, you can't do that, man. It's discrimination. Prophesied. Moving on. Only in black communities can other immigrant groups be seen owning nearly all the businesses, like the Jews who own currency exchanges, banks, and lending agencies. The Arabs own the grocery stores and fast food restaurants. Asians own the clothing stores and beauty salons. The East Indians own the convenience stores and gas stations, while the whites own everything else, while the blacks own nothing of substance in his own communities, except for selling dope to his own people. Whew! Damn. That is the only time black people spend money on black people, is to buy dope and weed. Moving on. Since virtually all black economic power goes into the hands of the stranger, he continues to be elevated to a much higher social and economic bracket, which in turn gives him the resources to lend to blacks who in turn cannot lend to the stranger. Blacks have to go outside the communities to the stranger in order to obtain loans for cars, mortgages, business, and for social events, albeit you will be paying a subprime rate and high interest just for being black. They only save the low APR and good interest deals for the non-black people. Just a heads up. Living in a constantly hostile environment and continuously being made to feel retarded without any culture and on par with the beasts, black people, in trying to feel worthy and equal, struggle to compensate for that by buying many useless and expensive items. Rims, $4,000 on rims for cars that do absolutely nothing for you. Buying an $800 Gucci belt, $800 Gucci sandals. Buying Prada, buying Mercedes-Benz and BMWs when you can't afford the car payment. Or if something happens to the car, it gets a dent, you can't afford it for it to be repaired. Living paycheck to paycheck, trying to be like Becky. But even Becky and Brad, they don't buy that bullshit. You don't see Becky and Brad walking around with big ass chains and jewelry like Ice-T, not Ice-T, but Mr. T. You don't see them walking around like that because they don't have to show off their wealth because they have it. We got to show off our wealth. Say, hey, look, I'm black. I'm black. I got money. I got money. Look at me. I got money. I ain't like these poor black people out there. I got money. See, we got to show it off because we ain't got none. It's all insecurity. It's all insecurity. That's why we do that. That's why we go out and buy $300 Jordans. We got to show people we got money because inherently we don't got none. Facts. Facts, facts, facts. Moving on. Living or seeing that it is unlikely for blacks to ever gain full membership into American society, they started to pay attention to what the other ethnic groups were doing so they could copy the model with the hope that it would help to improve their desperate situation. This action shows that if blacks are willing to follow in the footsteps of other ethnic groups, these groups can be identified as being at the head, while the blacks can be seen as remaining as a tail, as announced by the Most High. So instead of doing our own shit, we got to follow behind these motherfuckers wherever we go. Sad, 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 man. Whew. Reading on. Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Yeah, we're going through all of these hell praises. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. These verses show that no matter where the Israelites go, these curses will be a burden to them because they refuse to obey the commands given by their God. So moving, this is why I don't understand why we vacation. All these people on Instagram. Oh, I'm going here vacation. You still gonna be a nigga? You still gonna be called a nigga? Look what happened in China with those black people getting off the bus. They was getting called nigga. It don't matter where you go. You go to Fiji, Hawaiian, you still a nigga. Oh, I'm getting out of America. I want to move to Africa and whatnot. They may not treat me like a nigga. You still a nigga to them. Because they know you're not them. You still a nigga. It don't matter. I'm moving to South America, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Still a nigga down there too. They racist down there too. They are racist down there too. Ain't nowhere we can go on this planet where we ain't going to be seen as a nigga. So you might as well follow these commandments. Follow these commandments and let Yah bless you wherever you go. That's your best deal, Negro. Because it don't matter where you go. No matter where you vacation, you can show off on Instagram your nice scenery. But I guarantee you, those people who was around you, if you can listen to their thoughts, say, oh, look at this nigga. Look at this nigga. Why is he here? Why they always coming to our island? Why these people always come to our island? Filthy, dirty nigga. If you can hear the thoughts, if you can be psychic and you can listen to their thoughts, I guarantee you, most people wouldn't travel. We wouldn't travel because everybody will be saying the same thing because it's going to be the same thing everywhere you go. So you might as well buckle down and follow these commandments until Yah brings us out of here. That's your best bet, Negro. Moving on. Again, if the white Jews were the descendants of ancient Israel, they would be under the curses outlined in Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 28. Well, regardless of which country they populate, the conditions should mimic the present plight of the real Hebrews of the Western Hemisphere. But they do not. Moreover, while the Jews openly admit that they do not keep God's laws, yet they prosper at whatever they set out to do. The religious Jews practice various forms of rabbinic Judaism. These curses or signs are the clearest guide to distinguishing who the children of Israel are today. Since God stresses that these curses would be a sign and a wonder on Israel forever. So whichever racial group suffers from all these curses can proclaim to be the true descendants of the seed of Israel. But these curses are only seen on the black Hebrew Israelites. Facts. Sick and tired of everybody else. You got people, Asians, claiming that they goddamn Jews now. Asians. Where the hell have you guys suffered? You got Asians going into Israel talking about, oh, I found out I'm a Jew. How? From where? Where? Please tell me, Asians, where you have been under yoke and iron. Where you guys suffering? Look at China. You got China. You got Japan. All that. Thailand. Talking about y'all Israel. Get the fuck out of here. China, the second biggest world superpower. About to be the world superpower. And y'all talking about y'all Jews. Ha! Laugh at you. Goddamn motherfucking string bean body motherfuckers, bruh. Anyways, 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron, just talk about that, upon thy neck, until he hath destroyed thee. For more than 350 years, the black Israelites in America have been providing complete service to their enemies through hunger, thirst, and nakedness in the face of great opposition. African Americans make up approximately 12% of the U.S. population, or 33.9 million. I don't know how long this has been since this has been updated. And based on the worker income, they generated $586 billion in 2004. So that was back in 2004, I guess, when they did this. I don't know. Yet as a whole, they continue to be relatively poor when compared to other racial and ethnic groups living in the United States. In 1999, about 22% of African American families lived below the poverty line, as compared to 13% for the United States as a whole, or 8% for non-Hispanic white Americans. Wow. A materialistic people will generally want of all things, and in trying to obtain them, often end up being heavy consumers. Black Americans spend millions on clothing, shoes, cosmetics, perfumes, cars, and computers, as compared to other ethnic groups in America, even though they only comprise about 12% of the total population. Hell, I can say I'm part of this. I'm a techie. I love tech. I love tech gadgets and all that shit. I can put myself right in this category. I know a lot of us, we consume too. We consume. I've tried to curb it. I've tried to curb my materialism and everything and try to keep it simple. But I was part of this, still part of it. I'm trying to wean that stuff out of me. They spend $6 million a year on soft drinks alone. That's soda. No wonder why we got diabetes and obesity. More than $500 million on fast food, and are twice as likely as whites to purchase a BMW, Mercedes-Benz, or Audi. I was just talking about this. I didn't even know this. He was about to talk about this. I just talk about this. Prove my point. The last section of the verse states that the oppressors will place yokes of iron around the necks of the black Hebrew. And since the word yoke also means oppression, servitude, subjection, and slavery, it indicates that the black Hebrew population has an iron yoke around its neck even today, since after 350 years of mental programming, their oppressors still continue to keep them in subjection. But yet they say slavery is done and America's a Christian nation. That doesn't do away with slavery. Whatever you say, white people. Deuteronomy 28:49 reads, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle fly, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. God stated that he will bring a nation from afar, from the end of the earth against Israel. And in considering all the nations that opposed Israel, such as Egypt, Assyria, Medo-Persia, Babylon, Greece, and Rome, note that they were all either located in or close to the Mideast. Although Greece and Rome are in Europe, they were still close enough for Israel to easily reach them. Besides, Israel was familiar with these nations and their languages. Israel, however, would not have been acquainted with the region of the Western Hemisphere, the United States. Taking a world map and looking at the Mideast in relation to the Americas, note that not only is the United States a tremendous distance from the Mideast, but it can really be said to be at the end of the earth. This verse also refers to this nation as being as swift as the eagle flies. So it's not by accident that the national symbol of America is the eagle. Also, when the slave traders and abductors came on the shores of West Africa, the Hebrews could not understand their language. 28:58 reads, if thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, and even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book by this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. 4 verse, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Israel will be a disease-stricken people, suffering from all types of illnesses according to these prophecies. The original black Israelites have been scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth, so there is hardly a nation on the earth where the Israelites do not make up some percentage of the society. I said that earlier. We everywhere. This came to pass because the Hebrews broke God's law, and therefore cannot exist as a unified sovereign nation in the land of Israel at the present time. Wherever black Hebrews have settled, they will serve strange gods. The forefathers of ancient Israel were unfamiliar with these gods and religions such as Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, New Ageism, and so forth, since most of them came into existence after the expulsion of Israel from their ancestral homeland. Again, the situation could not possibly pertain to white Jews, since the majority of them is atheist. Wow. Ain't that some shit? You call yourself the people of the book, and most of y'all atheists. Ain't that some shit? And do not believe in God. Wow, wow, wow. Come on, man. Crazy. Wow. Black Hebrew Israelites will find no ease or rest for their feet in these new lands. According to verse 65, they suffered and survived a century of lynching, where between 1859 to 1961, about 5,000 black Hebrews were murdered in the United States alone. In other words, as predicted, throughout the 350-year history in America, more than that now, there has not been any real occurrence of peace for the black Hebrew Israelites. Their dilemma merely changed from slavery to segregation to lynching to racism to discrimination, where they constantly lived in a hostile environment. 28:66 reads, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. Black Hebrews have feared for their lives since the days of slavery, and statistics show that more blacks than any other ethnic group die violently At the peak of their lives, Hebrew males had a murder rate of 68.7 per 100,000 as compared to 8.9 per 100,000 for white males. From 1980 to 1995, the suicide rate among African Americans aged 10 to 14 increased by 233%. Wow. Wow. Still going on today, too. We still killing ourselves. Damn. Black Israelites are so doubtful about their lives that a simple traffic stop by law enforcement officers could spell death for the Hebrew in America, who is 3 times more likely to die from a bullet, even when unarmed, as compared to the white man, which emphasizes that there is no assurance of life as they live in constant fear day and night. We got to have that hedge protection on us. We got to pray to Yah every day before we leave the house to put that hedge on us so we don't become a statistic. Whew. This is the fulfillment of prophecy, which may explain why white people can pass freely through a street in a black neighborhood, and in most cases, no one will bother them. But if a black person were to walk down the same street, chances are that he might suffer some type of physical harm. Ain't that a bitch? So if the racist police and hate groups don't kill them, their own people will. Damn. Damn. Whew, Isaiah 5:13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity. Jeremiah 2:14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Luke 21:24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt, slavery, again, with ships. By the way there whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. They're our enemies. They're not our friends. Why can't we all just get along and sing Kumbaya with everybody? Why can't we all just hold hands? They're our enemies. Y'all making a distinction right there. They are our enemies. Why do we want to be around these folk? Yes, we can tolerate their presence and whatnot and be peaceable among these people, but at the end of the day, they are our enemies. They would kill us if they had the chance to. No matter how cool they are with you, no matter how many times y'all dap and shake hands, if an opportunity arises that they can gain something out of destroying you, they will do it. Be wary of these other nations. For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Bondage and captivity played a huge part in the children of Israel's history, as they would be held as captives and shackled by the chains of slavery on many occasions. The Bible speaks of Israel's captivity and bondage in Egypt, Babylon, and Assyria. But to be able to identify the modern descendants of Israel would mean having to trace a people who were taken captive and brought by ships into bondage. According to verse 68, Israel will go into a repressive, brutal bondage, similar to what was experienced when held captive in Egypt. Only this time, ships will be the major transportation method used to move the Israelites to their new dwellings places. Look at this shit. Look at this ship. Look how they just stacked us in there like sardines, bruh. Imagine being in there on that ship, hot. You underneath the ship, you hot, sweaty, pissing all over yourself, shitting over yourself. If your wife down there, your wife coming up to the top to get raped, gang raped by the white boys on top. Whew. Imagine the horror, man. No wonder why they jumped. Well, no wonder why they jumped off the ship if they had the chance. Damn. Being crammed to the bottom of slave ships, the captured African Hebrews were placed on the auction blocks and sold as chattel, like inanimate objects, to the highest bidder. Many highly literate freed slaves recounted the degradation and humiliation they suffered while being handed like farm animals. Naturally, the groups that brought the Black Israelites to the Americas, Europe, and the West Indies on slave ships, while subjecting them to the worst form of slavery and oppression ever imposed on another human being, were their enemies who were also the buyers at these slave auctions. There is no other ethnic group in the Western Hemisphere that can show that they were intentionally exploited in a similar manner. None. Arriving in ships against their will and placed under an oppressive bondage system, in addition to being sold to their enemies as slaves. Zero nation besides the children of Israel can claim that. Zero. I want to see the proof, other nations. Y'all keep continue to claim that you guys are Israelites. Where's your proof, Native Americans? Where's your proof, Hispanics? You guys were born and bred right there in the South America because the white man came and raped the indigenous people of that land. That's how you were conceived. That's how you were conceived. You were born in that land. We were not born in this land. Some of us are. Some of us were. The descendants, but we weren't born in this land. Our ancestors are not from this land. Yours are. You are the product of rape. Hispanics, that's what you are. You are a product of rape. Native Americans, Canaanites, you guys are already here. So what ships were you need to be brought on to be brought here? You are already here. So there goes y'all. Asians, y'all were never brought here. Y'all still live in y'all land. Y'all still got y'all language. So I don't see you guys being the people. White people, y'all moved over here willingly on ships, enslaved everybody else that was here. I don't see y'all was brought over here on ships with yoke of iron. Please. Moving on. These slave ships made several crossings from the west coast of Africa to the Americas and Europe for hundreds of years, abducting, buying, and selling slaves. This was one of the biblical curses of Deuteronomy 28:68 that was placed on the Israelites. On the other hand, the Islamic slave trade usually transacted their business in the sale of castrated male slaves. Eunuchs, as they talk about in the Bible, even talks about the eunuchs. We were eunuchs there too. We were eunuchs. Eunuchs were created by completely severing the scrotum and penis of 8 to 12-year-old Israelite boys. Can you imagine that? Having your scrotum crunched up, beat down, so you can't have no kids? Can you imagine the pain? Because I guarantee you they did not give them no type of numbing cream or whatever. Imagine having your scrotum crushed. You 8 to 12 years old and have your scrotum crushed to dust. Whew, man. And during this gory procedure, thousands of young boys bled to death. Whew. Whew. Damn. Castrated boys usually fetch the highest price at the slave markets. White Jews who claim to be true descendants of ancient Israel have never experienced any of these curses. They never went into bondage on ships. Their children were not taken away from them. Neither were they sold to their enemies as slaves. But this has been the story of the so-called Negro, who are the true descendants of ancient Israel. Isaiah 42 and 22 reads, "But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for prey, and none delivereth, for spoil, and none saith, restore." Almost half of all prisoners in state and federal jurisdictions, and about 40% of the juveniles in legal custody are Black Americans, most of them innocent. But this agrees with the prophecies that the children of Israel will make up the majority of people in prisons wherever they live. Black Hebrews have been robbed and stripped of their history, languages, dignity, and culture and heritage since coming to the Western Hemisphere. In fact, Black Hebrews constitute the only race that was prohibited by law from practicing their own original language, culture, history, and religion, while being forced to abandon their native names that connected them directly to their ancestry. I don't see that happening to Native Americans and Hispanics. Y'all still get to come here and speak Spanish. Y'all still get to have y'all Spanish names. We don't. We got to take the name white people names and bullshit like that. We got to take our slave government names. Brittany and Roger and shit like that. I mean, fuck that. Black Hebrews have been victims of the political process, the educational and justice systems, and after centuries of chattel slavery, no one has ever seen it fit to give them the necessary tools to restore themselves. Of all the races on earth, the Black Hebrews have suffered serious psychological damage from the centuries of ruthless treatment and vicious lies. They merit reparations for the centuries of free hard labor that made America the richest and most powerful country on the planet. However, scriptures state that Israel will not be restored, which means that reparations will not be forthcoming, even though America has a known history of paying reparations. Yah is our reparations, Negroes. Come back to the covenant. He is your reparations. I don't give a fuck about no money Yah got for me. Fuck the reparations. I don't want none of their dirty money. For example, they paid the Indians in the form of land, money, and free taxes. $20,000 was paid to each Japanese American who was placed in camps during World War II. In addition, America and its allies paid out billions in reparations to help reconstruct the economies of the defeated German and Japanese people. In other words, governments all over the world have compensated all those who were oppressed by that governmental system, except for the Black Israelites. The fake Jews also received reparations from the German government and the Swiss banks, who supposedly had a hand in the Holocaust, and even those German corporations that were suspected of using Jews as free labor. The fake Jews also claimed that they were restored to the land of Israel, but this cannot be if they are the true descendants of the biblical Hebrews, because these prophecies about Israel do not relate to those fake Jews who have not been robbed or stripped of their heritage, history, or original African names. Neither were they held as captives. Facts, facts, and more facts. Keep it coming. Yes, now, Maria, that picture, oh, it's crazy, man. Being crammed like a sardine for days. Isaiah 42 and 23 reads, "Who among you will give an ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come?" The prophecies and curses revealed by the scriptures do not identify the Black people in this hemisphere by accident. It is because they represent the true descendants of the biblical Hebrews. But who will lend an ear to this? Hosea 4 and 6 reads, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim. I will also forget thy children." Those who hear the truth were rejected and even attempt to identify with the descendants of the ancient Egyptians. You got the Kemites out there, the Moors. That's another one I'm seeing now. And so, or some other African tribe. You got this whole ADOS movement bullshit. Talking about, we African, this Pan-Africanism and all that shit. We ain't African, okay? We are not African. We are not Hamites. Sorry. No way. Moving on. Note that all Black people are not Israelites. Facts. Just made the distinction just now. Just as not all white people are Greeks. Many Blacks will respond by saying that it does not matter who the Israelites are today, since the Redeemer has come and died for everyone. Whoo! That's a whole nother lesson in and of itself. He only died for Israel. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Yeshua only died for us, not for you. Sorry, other nations. Sorry. Luke 21 and 24 reads, "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive. And to all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled." In reference to Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, Hamashiach said that all things which are written will come to pass, and there will be wrath upon the Hebrew people before Israel is taken captive to all nations until the times of the Gentiles is fulfilled. Daniel 9 and 11 says, "Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Elohim, because we have sinned against him." Historical records show that around 66 AD, the Roman Emperor Vespasian and his general son Titus attacked Jerusalem and destroyed it. The siege of Jerusalem was described as horrific, but Christ had prophesied this event many years before it actually happened. Many of the Israelites in Jerusalem were either massacred or taken as captives, while others fled into Africa. Those Israelites were later captured and sold as slaves throughout the Mediterranean world, which signaled the beginning of the Israelites being led captive into all nations. This was according to the predicted wrath leveled against Israel as mentioned in verse 24. In this image right here, Roman soldiers are shown stealing the treasures from the Hebrew temple after capturing, massacring, and exiling the nation of Israel from their land, as prophesied by Christ in Luke 21:24. Wow. Look at that right there. It's all in there. It's blurry, but that's what it shows. As soon as the Hebrews began to settle in the various African countries along the west and east coast, the Arab slave trade commenced, and the Hebrews were once again led as captives into Arabia, the Mideast, and North Africa. The emergence of Islam initiated a revival of the slave trade. Muslim nations were involved in the slave trade for at least 900 years before Europe got started in the transatlantic trade business. Islam had been dominating the slave trade from the 7th to the 15th century. That is between 1519 and 1815. Woo! 900 years before Europe. Man, oh man. Look at our people, man. Look at our people, man. That's our people, man. That's our ancestors. Because they did not hearken to Yah. This is what they had to go through. Whew. The Muslims later notified the Portuguese about the people of the book, a title conferred to on the Israelites from West and East Africa by the Muslims, who also pointed out that they were living in a great number to the south of the desert, a people cursed of God and predestined as slaves. The Muslims also referred to Western Sudan or West Africa as Yehudi, which means the tribes of Israel. Black Hebrews were also led as captives into many African states by local tribes on the west and east coast of Africa. These African tribesmen sold the Israelites to the Muslims, who in turn sold them to the Europeans. Though on some occasions, the tribesmen sold the Hebrews directly to the Europeans. We just get handed off like a $2 hooker. Just hand it off. While much has been documented about the transatlantic slave trade, very little attention was paid to the Islamic slave trade, which evolved the Sahara Desert, the Red Sea, and the Indian Ocean from East Africa. European participation in the transatlantic slave trade to the Americas lasted for more than 300 years, whereas the Arab involvement in the slave trade lasted for 1,400 years and still continues to this very day in some parts of the Muslim world. But yet, we want to go in Islam and want to talk about we are Muslim. Yet these people are still making slaves of our people. Damn, we are lost. Islam is a snare. Terrible religion. Terrible doctrine for our people. I rebuke Islam with the fierce rebuke. As much as I rebuke Christianity, I rebuke Islam because they're the ones who first started the slave trade. Everybody loves to talk about Christianity and Christians and yeah, you know, they did it, the white people did it, but nobody ever talks about these damn sand niggas. No one ever talks about them, about slavery. No one ever links them to slavery. It's always white people this, white people this. These niggas. These are the niggas you watch out for. Because they got a hold on our people with that Islam, boy, I tell you. A hold. Malcolm X is part of that bullshit. It is calculated that the death toll resulting from these 14 centuries of Muslim slave raids into Africa was in the region of 115 million. Do you hear that? 115 millions of our ancestors were lost from the 14 centuries of Muslim slave raids. 115 million. Y'all still want to go to the convenience stores? But when the number of those sold in the slave markets is included, the total number of African victims of the trans-Saharan and East African slave trade could be in the region of 200 million people. That's damn near over half of what the population of America is today. America is in what, 350, almost 400 million people? Look at that, damn near 200 million. That's half of the United States population of our ancestors died in these slave raids, bruh. And nobody ever talks about this one. Nobody, this one right here. It's always a transatlantic. No one talks about this one, where we suffered more under these bastards here. When the Fatimids came to power, tens of thousands of black military slaves were slaughtered, and an entirely new slave army was raised. Some of these slaves were conscripted into the army from the age of 10. 10. Imagine being 10. You in your youth and being handed a gun saying you finna go fight. Whew. Can't even imagine it. I can't even comprehend it. I can't comprehend it because it hasn't happened to me, so I can't comprehend it. I can see it in my mind, but I can't comprehend it. I can imagine their fear of being thrown out into the battlefield at 10 years old with barely any gun training and saying, hey, time to go fight. The Trans-Sahara trade was operated along 6 slave routes in the 19th century, where there are accurate records. In the 19th century, where there are accurate records, 1.2 million slaves were herded across the Sahara into the Middle East, so-called Middle East, that is. 450,000 down the Red Sea, and 442,000 from the coastal ports of East Africa, forming a total of 2 million black slaves during the 1800s alone. This does not include the 8 million that had perished before reaching the Muslim slave markets. Damn. The East African slave trade included 347,000 slaves that were shipped to Arabia, Persia, and India, with 95,000 slaves going to the Arab plantations and the Mascarene Islands. Wow. So the same little routes, just as Moshe Ben talked about the transatlantic routes of the hurricanes, I mentioned the other routes or the other cyclones they have in the other eastern hemisphere. And that route of their tropical cyclones follows between India and Africa. Exact route where they did the slave trade here for the Muslim slave trade. Wow. Holy shit. Damn, boy, y'all. Ooh, he is admitting judge. That's why India's getting judged, baby. They getting judged immensely as of late. All kind of shit is happening in India and all throughout that Middle Eastern place. They all reaping the wrath of Yah. Moving on. Along the west coast of Africa, the black Hebrew Israelites were abducted and transported like cargo in slave ships to Europe, Asia, and Americas. That's North, South, and Central. And to the islands of the sea. That's Barbados, Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Trinidad and Tobago, the Bahamas, the Canary Islands, Madeira, Cape Verde Islands, Madagascar. Ooh. Madagascar, they just got fucked up by a big-ass storm the other week. Now another big old tropical cyclone is coming into Madagascar again this week. Judgment? I think so. St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and elsewhere. Just about every nation on earth had a hand in the 300-year transatlantic slave trade. Portugal, the United States, Britain, Spain, France, Italy, the Jews, the Muslims, Catholic and Protestant Christians, the Dutch, the Danes, the Swedes, the Prussians, and the American Indian tribes, but I thought they was Israel. Woo! However, the immensely greater involvement of Portugal, Spain, and France seems to be broadly ignored. Additionally, the longer remaining Islamic slave trade into the Middle East has been so overlooked that it could be regarded as one of history's best kept secrets. But I'm exposing it today. All praise to Yah. God revealed that Israel will be led into all nations as captives. And as history shows, this happened only to a specific tribe of blacks. Christ also mentioned that the Israelites will be in those nations until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled, and that Jerusalem shall be trodden down by the Gentiles. Jerusalem continues to be trampled by the Gentiles, who are the whites and Europeans that currently control the affairs of the earth. Listing all the descendants of Japheth, Genesis 10:5 states, "By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands." Israel will be in the land of their captors until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. According to scriptures, and Jerusalem will continue to be trampled by the Gentiles. With that gay parade bullshit that Israel's doing out there, I can consider that to be trampling. I could consider that to be trampling, of course. So again, it is clear that According to prophecy, the Israelites as a sovereign nation cannot be presently located physically in the land of Israel. Jeremiah 17:4 states, "And thou, Israel, even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever." Psalm 83:4 states, "They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." That's Psalm 83, baby. All them nations confederate against us. Isaiah 1:3 states, "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider." That's facts. We don't know who Yah is. We don't know. Scripture reveals that the Black Hebrew Israelites would lose their heritage, the knowledge of who they are, and the knowledge of their ancient forefathers, because their enemies will set about to erase their identity. They will be called by many bywords, proverbs, and every other insulting term, but not Israelites or Hebrews, in order to keep their true identity hidden. But we were awakening up, though. We're wakening up. We are awakening to the truth, though, all around the world. We're waking up and realizing we are Israelites. That's prophesied as well. It was a known fact that during the transatlantic slave trade, the people on the west coast of Africa were Hebrews. And this explains why the first Christian missionaries who left Portugal for West Africa were required to study Aramaic and Hebrew. These slave masters knew of the true nature of the Hebrew people. Therefore, they set out to change their entire history, culture, faith, and religion, because failing that, it would have been difficult to behold them as slaves, treat them as subhuman, and still have a great admiration for the Hebrews' sacred Bible. It therefore became necessary to hide the Black Hebrews' identity and keep it that way for as long as possible. When the slaves were on the plantations working, they sang Negro spirituals, which told the story of Moses, Jerusalem, Canaan, God, in the land of Israel, long before the slave master ever introduced the Bible or Christianity to them. In other words, if the slaves were not already Israelites, where did they receive the knowledge of these songs with their profound biblical themes? Facts. I mean, hell, they got this popular song called Jerusalem, where you had all these dancing and whatever. It was a TikTok meme or whatever. It's called Jerusalem. Hello? Hello? And then the heathen went to go fucked it up and started dancing to it and shit and whitewashed the goddamn dance. Fucking bitches, I tell you. Everywhere we go, these niggas follow. Eventually, the slave master introduced the Black Hebrew slaves to Christianity, but he only wanted to focus on the New Testament. Exactly. They can't write themselves. White people can't write themselves in the Old Testament. They only can write themselves in the New Testament. Oh, the Old Testament, oh, that's done away with. You're going to follow the commandments. You're going to read that book, because of reading that book, you will know them curses of Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 28. So they got to keep them preoccupied in the New Testament when they talk about Gentiles. But those Gentiles ain't white people or any other nation. Those Gentiles were the Israelite Gentiles that were cut off. The same Israelite Gentiles that was mentioned in Hosea, who were cut off from being a people. Yah wrote them a bill of divorce. They were no longer a people. They were considered Gentiles, strangers. But every time they see strangers, oh, see, right there, that's European. That European, that's European right there. Yeah. No. This book is about us and for us. There is no white people in here, except you're mentioning of the Greeks and some certain white characters that were in there. Other than that, it's mainly a Black people book. Moving on. It says here, but he only wanted to focus on the New Testament, completely forbidding them from reading the Old Testament books in order to keep their identity a secret from them. Those original slave songs contained many Old Testament themes in them, such as "Let My People Go," "My Home is Over Jordan," "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," the slave song "Kumbaya," which is in Hebrew, pleads "Come by here, God, come by here." The Blacks were singing about matters that involved Old Testament history, with which they were already familiar, and which by then had become oral history that was being passed down from generation to generation. So again, the question is, how did these Black people know about God? Moses, and all other Hebraic themes if they were not Hebrews in the first place. Whoo, you can drop the mic there too. Another dagger. There are some extremely powerful, covetous, and wicked people whose desire is to rule the world. They know that the earth is the Lord's, which has been promised to his chosen people. These evil ones recognize that in order for them to reign supreme, they must first destroy those who are predestined to inherit the earth. They also know that the Israelites are black-skinned people, but it will be difficult to easily identify them since they have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Therefore, the next step was to put in place a plan of global genocide to get rid the earth of all black-skinned people, which would include the black Hebrew Israelites. This is reminiscent of King Herod's plan at the time of Christ's birth, when he ordered that all Hebrew males 2 years and under be put to death, since he was not sure which male child was Christ. He therefore conceived a plan to kill them all so as to ensure that Christ would be slain in the process. Herod's reason for attempting to slay the baby was because he knew that Christ was the one chosen to inherit the throne of Israel. This is precisely what may be taking place against the descendants of Israel today, an attempt to prevent the black Hebrews from inheriting the earth as promised. But we all know there ain't no preventing Yah's word from coming forth. We gonna possess this earth in the end over all nations. So other nations, you can enjoy your life as it is right now. Live it up. Live it up. Because this is the last time you will ever be in power. The Egyptian enslavement and practice of genocide on the Israelites pale in comparison to the European enslavement of the black Hebrews many years later. Deuteronomy 28:46, and the curses shall be placed upon thee, Israel, for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed descendants forever. They have transgressed thy law, Daniel 9:11, even by departing that they might not obey thy voice, therefore the curse is poured upon us. And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because he have sinned against him. Yea, all Israel. Israel, it is shown, has been placed under punishment by their God by way of curses, which would be used as a sign to identify them. So the white Jews or any other group who claim Israelite lineage should fall under these curses and prophecies, because they are distinctive traits that distinguish the true Israelites from everyone else. Another distinctive trait of the Israelites is that they will make up part of every type of religion in existence. Therefore, any signs which can identify the modern descendants of Israel must show them to be a people who have suffered these punishments. 1, slavery and captivity. 2, having no power to stand against their enemies. 3, exiled into the land of their enemies. 4, scattered among all nations. 5, a very sick and disease-stricken people. 6, at the bottom socially with other races high above them. 7, lost the true knowledge of who they are, will be called by many scornful nicknames other than Israel or Hebrew. 8, packed into prisons and jails. 9, a non-prosperous people. 10, an oppressed people by their enemies. 11, very religious and members of every religion. Those are the signs by which the true Israelites can be identified. So any group or nation claiming to have Israelite ancestry must fit those conditions, which will affect them as a nation throughout their entire history. If the Europeans are the descendants of ancient Israel, as they claim to be, then these traits must be a mark on them to show that they were brought to Europe by their enemies as captured slaves on ships, and they must be non-prosperous people. Clearly, this has not been the reality for them or the modern Jews, but it is evident which group of people these conditions perfectly fit: the so-called Negroes, who are the descendants of the ancient Israelites. And look at this picture here. State of Missouri. I live in this fucking state. Nigger hunting license. That's what this is. This is a nigger hunting license. What kind of bullshit is that? Nigger hunting license right here. Wow. Our Lord began his ministry in Nazareth with these words. In Luke 4:18, the Spirit of the Lord is on me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and release to the oppressed. Who is the only oppressed people on the planet? But yet all these people want to claim that they want to be redeemed. Talking about, oh, Jesus, he's our Lord. No, he is not for you. You are outside of the covenant, other nations. You are not in the covenant with Israel. You do not need to be redeemed from anything. You are not oppressed. You guys have your own kingdoms, your own countries, your own language, your own heritage, your own cultures, your own money, your own businesses all over the fucking globe. What the fuck do you need redeeming from? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Moving on. Matthew 10, 5-7 reads, these 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. No Gentiles. Don't go the way to them. Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Can't be no clearer than that. Ye worship, ye know what? Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Black people. We got the salvation. We got it. And the only way you other nations are going to get salvation, when I say other nations, but people, is to cleave to the black people and love his people. How can you claim to love our Elohim if you don't love his people? That's the great falling away right there, baby. Once they figure out that the black people, and they all know, they know that they have to love us, but they can't bring it to their hearts to love us because they hate us that much. They hate us that much. They can't love us. Yeah, ninja hunting license. I know. I know. Crazy. Moving on. One of the most erroneous doctrines taught by various religious bodies is that the children of Israel were cast away by Elohim to be replaced with the Gentiles. However, the following scriptures state clearly this was not the case. Isaiah 11:11, my favorite one. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. Ain't no white people there. Ain't no white people there. Leviticus 26:44. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them. For I am Lord their God. That's possessive, ain't it? Their God. He didn't say, Lord, everybody's God. He said the Lord their God. That is a possessive. You can't get around that. 45. But I will for their sakes remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their God. I am the Lord. Isaiah 49:14-16 reads, but Zion said, the Lord hath forsaken me, and my Lord hath forgotten me. Can a woman forget her suckling child, that she not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. Whew. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palm of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me. Does that sound like we being cast away? That we gotten replaced by the church? He says he graved us on his hand. We on his hand. Hello? Romans 11:1-2. I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. He been picked us out before he created the damn world. You think he gonna forget about us now? White people, other Gentiles of the earth, who have written yourselves into our history? Please. Nigga, please. Romans 11:25-26 reads, that blindness in part is happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. He's going to cleanse us from all our sins and filth, our uncleanness. Doesn't sound like a castaway to me. Jeremiah 31:35 reads, Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divided the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. 36 and 37 read, If those ordinances depart from before me, they can't, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. But seeing as that can't happen, looks like we're going to be his people forever. Thus saith Yah, if heaven above can be measured, they can't measure it, and the foundation of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. And we all know that can't. God said, if the moon and the sun and moon no longer shine in the sky, then Israel will be cast away. If the heavens above or the earth beneath can be measured, then Israel will be cast away. But since the sun still shines by day and the moon and stars by night, it can only mean that Israel has not been cast away, but still remain God's chosen people. Micah 5:7-8 explains where Israel will be in the latter days. And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from God, as the showers upon the grass, that tarry not for man, nor wait for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles, in the midst of many people. You hear that? Among the Gentiles. We're not the Gentiles, we're among the Gentiles. God chose Israel and will use them to spread the gospel to all nations, as it is clear that he works only through Israel. That's going to be what happened in the kingdom. We're going to be going out preaching the gospel to the other nations. God said, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Why can't people understand that scripture? Why do people get upset when you say this scripture? They get all butthurt and emotional. Oh, no, that means, oh, no, nah, that's not what it means. No. But you can't escape that scripture. It says, you only have I known. Why can't people just accept the scriptures for the scriptures? Why do they have to twist them? Why do they have to want to write themselves so bad? Because they know where that judgment stands. That's why they know where that judgment stands. And that was in Amos 3:2. The prophets and apostles came only from Israel, including Christ, who was sent to Israel. Christ said, I am not sent but to the lost sheep of Israel. Matthew 15:24. And salvation is of the Jews. John 4:22. Deuteronomy 30:1-3 says this, and we'll end with this. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God has driven thee, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion and upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. There you go, fam. And with that, I drop my mic. I think that was the biggest dagger. I think that was the biggest dagger. All praise to Yah for allowing me to get this information out to my people. This was great edification. I learned some more things today. I hope you guys learn some shit too. That you were rightfully edified by these words. Because I feel rightfully edified. This was a great lesson today. All praises to Yah for giving me the words to speak upon you guys. So hold your head up high and know we are the people. These signs, these curses are a sign, a wonder upon the people. Wherever we go, these curses will follow. If a person is claiming Israel and they cannot show those curses upon them or their family, they cannot be Israel. The fake Jews cannot prove this. So they stifle information. They change history. They bend it to their will to say whatever story that they want to put out. But the truth is coming out all over the world. We Israelites are awakening from our slumber. We are saying we're the people. We got other nations saying we the people. This movement cannot be stopped. No matter how many videos the fake Jews delete and stifle, like whack-a-mole, another one's going to pop up. They're going to be busy for a long time. This truth is going to get out whether they want, or whether they want to or not. This train will not be stopped. The Most High has got his hand upon every nation right now, and he is judging it through storms, snow, hail, sleet, hurricanes, cyclones, earthquakes, volcanoes, sandstorms, tsunamis, thunderstorms, huge long lightning strikes. I don't know if you guys heard about that. One lightning strike that was 422 miles long. 422 miles long. Can you imagine seeing that? The Most High showing his glory. Most High showing his glory. That is what he is doing right now. So, that being said, I am going to end it right here. Thank you guys for showing up to the stream and learning something. This was real learning, not that fake learning that they do in school or college. This was true learning. All praises to Yah. May you guys have a blessed evening. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a blessed week. And we may continue, Yah willing, next week, where we're going to delve into more history. We're going to delve into more history, fam. Of that, I am not sure exactly where. I'll have to see exactly where I want to go with this. Yes, sir. Actually, let me see. Let me see here. Let me see where I want to go. What's the next one here? Oh, yeah. We could definitely go into some more history. Some more real Jew history. For sure. We got plenty. There's many. So with that being said, I'm going to end it off and leave you with some spiritual music. This song is called Fringed Up, and it is by the Ox Sons of God. Follow them. They make some righteous music. With that being said, shalom to my Israelites here in the chat, and to my Israelites listening, if they happen to listen, four corners on the end of the earth. This has been another edition of Bezale'el. My bad. I always get that mixed up. It's been another edition of Behind the Veil with Bezale'el. I'm tuning out. Shalom.
My mind State on another level. Israelites to the Lord was special. Yo, pastor, he got the devil cause he twist scriptures like a salty pretzel. Fringed up and I'm looking fly. Border blue, it caught your eye. All praise to the most high. Yeah, how a why, yeah, how a shot. I dare anybody try to come with lies. This is a lyrical homicide. Christians so dumb they cut themselves. I call that biblical suicide. We in the last days, no time for games. Christ coming back with a lot of flames. Is that NIV? You need a King James? Told y'all Christians stop playing games. Your pastor ain't teaching lessons. If he want ties, I give him lettuce. I like my bread unleavened. I thank the Lord for my blessings. I'm a prophet, that's my profession. I wreck the mic with aggression, but I bless the mic with a message. We the Israelites, don't forget it, boy.
Fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up.
Look good. Yeah, I'm in it to win it. I'ma keep these laws up, bro. Did it like I'm trying to get them all on there. My friends keep me in line, little bro. Got game to see if I remember. Some of y'all ain't paying no attention. In the streets, never teach about repentance. Talking about some wicked fringes, we stay. Won't hesitate. Numbers 1538. God gave these laws and I made haste. Tell me why the hell would anybody want to wear? They got fringes on, but they ditching. Camp clothes and they missing. You seen the laws, more listen. Please, I seek the Lord, fear trembling about his business. A lot of you cats is yapping. I see y'all up in these streets talking about what's happening. Ask him, thine I shall see thy teachers. You cheerleading in the bleachers. We front line up in the gunfire. You scared cyber preaching weaklings. These laws is not suggestions. If you ain't heard about it, you better learn about it, because it's not the time to be guessing. Who you vexing is the question. Pray you get this message. Speaking evil gets me blessings. Ain't no stresses. Check my dressing. We stay
Fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up.
We are the greatest people live thus far. No contest for this protest. We were sent by the Most High God. No sleeping, we seeking a kingdom above these heathen. So I pray to the Most High for the day that I may see Eden. Mis flecos, they swinging. What a blue cost my phrases. The brain allowed to remember is a case of Hebrew everything about sinning. Repentance is my vengeance as I dwell amongst these heathen. No faking in this nation, so these commandments I be keeping. So you Macaulay Culkin brothers playing Home Alone. Time to get off your behind and let your light be shown. Cause our candle ain't hid. Fringes blowing the wind. Garment down to my shin. Yeah, this our righteousness. So what you think we teaching? We represent Christ, little boy. Get ready for the harvest that he reaping. It's not with all that strife, little boy. And be a man and get down with the plan. Cause the Most High ain't playing. So you know that's why I stay
Fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up, fringed up and border deep. Fringed up, fringed up,